We are going to be using ground beef sirloin, and it's a 90-10 ratio. And I did get this a day before the reduced price hit, and I got it and I froze it because it was on sale, and I wasn't saving much, but I was saving something. And you can usually get most meats on discount at about midnight, and you can go through, and it's usually every day they discount meat because they have to make room for the new batches that they have to have in. So when I would go shopping, I get it about that time. Now, because of the COVID, we can't do that anymore, but as soon as it's getting close to the time that the store will shut down, if it's in your area about 10, I would go about an hour before, and I would hit up the meat section, the bread section, the vegetable section, and you can get discount stuff. Really good, and they're still fresh. So I got this, and I froze it, and now that I've taken it out of the freezer, we're using it for dinner tonight. And as you can see, it's ground sirloin. So I'm going to put that in my mixing bowl, and then I will get the other stuff, and I will show you what I do with that to make this meal. Welcome back to Country Cooking and Living. So please bear with me. I'm going to try to do this. Now we're going to saute some onions and garlic. And I put 2 tablespoons of butter, a tablespoon of chopped minced garlic, or about 6 to 8 cloves, and 1 sweet onion that has been chopped. And I put it in a bowl because now I'm going to put it in our frying pan, and I'm going to saute it. Now, the reason why we're sauteing it is because of the simple fact that we don't want it to be big pieces that are going to be really crunchy when you get into the meatloaf, even though it'll be sweated down a little bit from it. We're not going to be able to have it as crunchy or sweated. This will make it really, really soft, and it will mold into the meatloaf meat mixture. So bear with me. You're going to put a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper, and you're going to saute it. This is going to take about, give or take, about 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes, and you're going to want it to cook down. Once it cooks down, you're going to want to cool it down a little bit more so that it'll be ready to go into your meat mixture, because you don't want it hot. So, as you can see, I'm mixing it. Now, I did put a tablespoon of the oil in the pan so that you swirl it around so it doesn't stick either, but the butter gives it a more flavor and more oomph. So we're going to cook this down for a few minutes, and when it's cooked down, I'll show you the result of it, and I will be back in a moment. As you can see, there's not hardly any liquid anymore, and it is cooked down and very soft. You're going to take and turn off the stove, and we're going to set the timer for about 5 to 10 minutes. You can check the temperature. I do it in ratios of 5 because that way I can stir it up to make it more cool down. And we are going to now put it off of this burner so that it cools down. We're going to give it one more stir, because if you keep it on the burner, it will cook more. So, as you can see, it is cooked. We're going to cover it. Yes, it will keep some of the heat in, but it will still cool down. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes, and we'll check it and stir it. and then we will do it probably for another 5 minutes to cool it down. And then it should be ready for putting in our meat mixture. Welcome back, and I'm going to show you the next process, which is to making these crackers into crumbs. This is not Ritz crackers. These are a butter cracker, and I don't use the Ritz because it's too salty. I'm going to be putting it in my little chopper, and before I do that, I break them in half like that, and I put them in, and once they get halfway full, I then chop them, and I do this in a couple stages because I don't want my chopper to get over full and break. So as you can see, I'm just barely doing that, and you only need one package. Now, this recipe has been in my family for a long time, ever since my kids were little, and we lived in Idaho and in Washington. We do not live there anymore. And I used to make this for the catering business. My ex-husband Oakley used to like this recipe a lot. He said it reminded him of his grandmother. And as you can see, it's already half, and I'm going to chop it down. And as you can see, there's already crumbs. So now I'm going to put some more in there. Just finishing up the bag. And I'm going to show you also a trick that I love. My friend Amy ended up getting me this pan one Christmas, and it's been my favorite thing in the kitchen for making meatloaf and other stuff. I don't always use it for meatloaf, but we're going to make this chop down again. And as you saw, it was that simple. That's a packet, which is more than enough for you to put in the meatloaf. And we're going to be dumping it in the meatloaf mixture, and we'll be right back. Now that this meatloaf, now that the onions have cooled down, we can put it in the meatloaf mixture, and we're just going to scrape it in. Don't mind the background noise. The animals outside are just going haywire. Probably a squirrel. And you want to make sure you get all the garlic and all the onion out. And we'll take a break, and we will come back with the rest of the ingredients. Welcome back, and now we're going to put 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/4 teaspoon of thyme. We are now going to also put in 1 tablespoon of heavy cream, and if you want, this is optional, I put it in, Tabasco, because it's basically a green pepper is what it is. And I only do 1, 2, 3. As you can see, it's a little bit more than about a teaspoon of it. I just shake it because that's what I'm used to. And I'm going to pause this and go to break, and I will show you how to mix it in the mixer where it's not overmixed. Now that we're back and we have it in the mixer, we're going to mix it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I do 10 seconds, and then I take it out, and it's not over mixed, as you can tell. Still got chunks. And I take it and I scrape it, and then when I scrape it down, it goes into the bowl, as you can see, and it's still very thick. And I'll take a break, put it in the get the beater out of meat and the mixture, and then I will then get my meat pan and I will show you what I do. So welcome back. So I want to take a minute and tell you about this pan that I use. You can use any bread pan. I like to use this one because it was made for it. A while back on the market there was a pan called the Meatloaf pan, and my friend Amy bought me this Meatloaf pan, and it is like my favorite one, because what it is you put the meatloaf mixture in here, and these holes, when the grease cooks, when the meat cooks, the grease goes right through these holes, so that when you're done, all you have to do is lift up this part, and it's got the meat, and the grease is in here. So I'm going to put the meat mixture in here, and I'm going to show you what I do to it. Now, this isn't over mixed. I only do it for 10 seconds, and I don't do it on a high setting, I do it on a low, and I do it on purpose that way because I don't like to mix it with my hands. I'm not putting it in a casserole dish, I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just putting it in a bread pan because that's what they used to do back in the days. This is a traditional rustic country meatloaf recipe. It's basic. You can always alter it for your own desire. And now I squish it down to make sure it's all there in the pan. And you gotta remember, this will cook down. And this will feed a family of 5+. Not a whole lot amount, but it will. Now, once you got it squished down as much as you can, as you can see, I take the edges and I curve it out. As you can see, this gives it a crusted top. I found that this is something that the older generation used to do, and it gives it more character, more eye appeal, and you just make the edges go, and you do it all the way around. As you can see, I'm doing it all the way around. And then I just smooth it on to the top. So this is now ready for your pan to go in the oven. See how nice it looks. And we are going to put it in the oven to cook. And what I do is I don't put a ketchup base on top. I make a sauce on the side to go on it after it's cooked. And it's a brown sugar ketchup type. If you want to, you can always put that brown sugar top or the brown sugar mixture on top of the meatloaf about 10 minutes before it's done cooking. And I guess I can show that to you guys this time, but normally I don't. But this is ready to go in the oven for about an hour, so I would check it at 50 minutes, and it should be on 350. So I will come back in about 50 minutes when it's done. Hi, and welcome back. Now I'm going to make the ketchup topping, or the one that I put on the side, and it's 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, a half a cup of ketchup, and I use 1 teaspoon of mustard. And it's a prepared mustard. That's pretty much it. I know how to eyeball it because I've been doing this for so long. So you can always measure it out to make it perfect. But this is what I do. And then I mix it. You can always add more if you want. Of the brown sugar, or you can always add more of the ketchup. Okay. So now I'm going to bring the meat over. And we are going to put it in, well, put it on the meat. I normally don't do this. And we don't need a whole lot, because a little bit goes a long way. And I like to use a spoon instead of a knife. And you just go over it. This is going to give it a glaze. Now, if there's a couple spots that you need to have more, you can always put more on it. And then you put this back in the oven for another 10 minutes. And then I like to let it cool for about 15 minutes on the side. And then when that's done, I like to serve it with potatoes on the side, and most of the time salad. And today we're going to be serving it with a creamy Parmesan cheese potatoes. So I'm going to put this back in the oven, and I will bring it out in 10 minutes, and then when it's been 15 minutes of it cooling, I'll show you the end result. Welcome back. Now that it's out of the pan, as you can see, we're going to take it off, and it will come off really easy. I just sit there and go to the sides. As you can see, it just slides off. And now you can cut it down to whatever thickness you want, be it small or thicker. As you can see, it's still warm. It's been sitting for 15 minutes to cool off. And we're going to serve it with potatoes and salad. And as you can see, It's hot and moist. So we'll be back in a moment after break. See you then. Welcome back. This is now the final product. The meatloaf, the sauce on the side, homemade ranch with my salad, and creamy Parmesan potatoes to go with it. So, hope you enjoyed this. To my family and yours, peace, love, and hope. Thank you for watching.